Hi friends, today we're going to be painting the northern lights over Crater Lake here in Oregon. First, I have a little bit of phthalo green here. You just want a little bit of that. That one kind of takes over your whole painting. I just have a pre-stretched canvas, 18 by 24 inches. And this is just like a normal white canvas that I painted black with black gesso. And I let that dry completely before I put like a nice thin coat of liquid clear. Liquid clear is it's very, very thick. And you really got to work it in. You want to take your time. You don't want to put a lot on like you do the liquid white. You really want to take your time and spread the liquid clear out. I just work it in this phthalo green, just kind of on this like bottom half. Just kind of mimicking the horizon. Here in Oregon, we've been seeing the northern lights more often than normal. This year, 2026, it's considered higher than average. We're around here in Salem, Oregon is like at the 45th degree parallel. So for aurora borealis to be shown this far down in Oregon is pretty uncommon. All right, so I have the phthalo green here. I'm going to switch brushes here. So I'm going to grab a different brush, and I'm going to grab some alizarin crimson. So the different colors that you see on the aurora borealis are actually different reactions with the protons with our atmosphere. And so how like the northern lights are like visible, like what the reaction is like solar flares from the sun. It shoots protons like across, like electrons and protons, like through space. And as those protons reach Earth's atmosphere, upper atmosphere, it reacts over the poles, both north and south poles. And those reactions, as they collide, emit light. And those curtains that you see coming over the poles there, that is due to that's actually the magnetic poles you're seeing. Okay, so I'm taking a little bit of alizarin crimson here, putting it up in the sky here. All right, I got some phthalo blue. So take a little bit of that, put it right here above the alizarin crimson. I'm just going to work those together, so it's kind of like almost like a purple. And then a little bit more phthalo blue here. And put that down below as well. So I'm doing like a mirror, since it's going to be Crater Lake. So try to do a perfect mirror here. All right. Now for the rest of the top of this canvas here, I have Prussian blue, which is a much darker blue. Actually, I'll work in a little bit of midnight black too. So I'll start in the corners with the black and Prussian blue, and then I'll just bring that color down. Probably won't be able to see it too much, but you always want to start darkest in the corners and bring it in. It always makes a nice vignette. Nice to practice those nice art techniques. even on these dark canvases. And this might be hard to see right now on camera, but when we start adding the white to paint in those light curtains, it'll really sparkle. A cat named Sparkles, Sparkle Buttons. Okay, so let's see. I might as well just put a little bit more down in here, just a little bit more blending of that there, and we'll just call that good enough for now. I'll wash the brush, why not? It is our favorite thing about this whole technique, isn't it? And beat it up. Okay, so now I'm going to go fan brush. I'm going to just get this titanium white. And this is really where the magic happens. I'm just going to really fill up this brush. Now when I was adding this paint, the translucent paint over on top of the black canvas and liquid clear, I left a little bit of a gap between the phthalo green and the pink, or the alizarin crimson here. So I'm going to start adding the white kind of light curtains through here. And up north you can see, like in Alaska, they have those beautiful light curtains were like that. But since we're so down south, we get kind of like the tail end of the light curtains. So they're more flat up here, and that's okay. That's okay. They're still beautiful. Okay, so now that we're seeing this, these lights come through, so we're adding the titanium white here. You can see that alizarin crimson really light up in the sky there. Knock a little bit of that off, and then try to clean the tips of the brush there, so it keeps my white nice and pure there. And I'm gonna just add a little bit more white down here. Get that pink going, and then adding some white to that blue. And since it's already kind of blue here, we'll go ahead and add that here, kind of cleaning up the brush. And that phthalo blue, I'm not even going to bother cleaning the brush to do to the phthalo green. The phthalo green is so powerful, we'll just let that white happen there, and I'll just kind of mirror it down here on the reflection. Well, that's a pretty good light curtain, I would say. So now I'm just cleaning the brush, getting all that white paint off of there. Cleaning it there. All right. I have this brush, 1-inch brush, and it's pretty clean. So with the liquid clear, I want to make sure it has, it's dry swap. You know what, I'm just going to swap it out for a different brush. I want to make sure it's totally dry. So I have this other landscape brush, and what I'm going to do is just drag these lights up. And just like that, you can see the magic. The Northern Lights. You know, I'm going to add a little bit more white here, actually. I'm thinking a little bit more white is necessary. I'm just going to paint it here. It's really going to, there we go. There we go. Okay. So how do we do here now? lightly lifting up, just kind of mimic the light curtains coming up into the sky. So each color that you see here, green is the most common since it's at lower altitudes. And that's just that reaction is just the oxygen getting excited. And so like as the protons come into the atmosphere, upper or lower atmosphere, it makes the green color. Now, next would be red. When red is created, when it's a little bit higher, as you can see, and also oxygen. But red's quite a bit more uncommon because it takes a lot more of the solar flare activity. It would be a higher G rating for the red, for example. All right, make some more light curtains here. Just kind of bring those up. I'm gonna fluff them up. And I'm going to brush off one more time. I'm going to just bring this down and really just kind of make it an exact mirror here. Oh, and then the blue-purple. Now that's a little bit different since it's higher nitrogen. That's how that color. It's the nitrogen reacting with the protons from the sun. Most of our Earth's atmosphere is made of oxygen and nitrogen, so the two layers of oxygen and then purple for the nitrogen. It's feeling pretty good here. What do you think? Okay. I don't want to fluff it too much more, but it's feeling good to me. Fast, why not? Okay, for sure have a nice clean brush. Okay, so next, I thought to make this dazzle a little bit more. So I'm going to grab some, just clean off the palette there. I got a little bit of phthalo green on there and I don't want to mix that into the rest of the white on the palette for the rest of the painting, so cleaning it off there. Okay. I'm going to get a little bit of thinner, just a little smidge. I'm actually going to wipe most of it off here. But dip my brush into, I just have a jar of liquid white. And I'm going to put a little bit of stars in the sky. Even with the aurora borealis, you can still see the stars in the sky up here. So we're just going to put a couple little twinkles in the sky. It's best to see the northern lights usually between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's the darkest periods of the night. Usually also during a new moon, that's helpful. You don't want the moon in the sky because the more light pollution you have. Also getting out of town and getting out of light pollution, that's also the most beneficial for being able to see the northern lights. If you're in town, you probably won't see them. You're competing with too much stagnant light. Okay, so now we have our mirrored sky here. I'm going to grab my palette knife. I'm going to mix up a little bit of mountain color. Mostly going to be black because, well, it's the night sky. There's not much light reflecting other than the white in the sky, light in the sky, and then it could be like a little bit of snowy scene since it's winter. That's usually when we are able to see these northern lights. well, I have a nice, it's mostly midnight black here, but I also mixed in phthalo blue, the rest of my crimson, since I'm not going to use any more really crimson in the rest of this painting, so I might as well just, actually, I'll just use all that up. Why not? Okay, well, I'm going to grab this color with my knife and then just start painting in this ridge here. So I kind of left that dark here so I didn't have to paint over it so much, but so now Crater Lake used to be Mount Mazama. And actually the story of Mount Mazama becoming Crater Lake, it is the oldest oral story in history. It's been passed down for 7,700 years. You should look it up. It's a really great story about the Klamath people. Well, not great story, but it's interesting because it talks about what happened really and their explanation of Mount Mazama essentially eating itself. The volcano erupted. It started out with a pumice and ash like fountain coming out of the north side of the mountain, and that spewed ash clear up into Canada. And as the winds pushed the ash north, it was winter, essentially, for everything north of Crater Lake. For a long time. It was a big ash layer. And actually, it's still present to this day. If you go on like certain sections of the Oregon coast, you can still see quite a thick crust of Mount Mazama exploding. It's a thick layer of ash, so it's very interesting. But even today, it's still present. Magnificent. So I got that ridge here, and I was making it kind of just dark. So as the pumice and ash fountain was pushing all of the matter from inside of the mountain, it was collapsing in on itself, and so I'm just going to work on this ridge just a little bit here. Kind of do all my knife work at once, and then maybe go back and pick my brush. So, okay. Maybe, actually. I'm going to work on clean those up first. So, put that down. So I clean up these mountains. Let's make them dark. Make them dark. I just don't want too much globby paint under there as I paint. We're going to put snow on these mountains. And I want to get as much as that dark paint off, or I'm going to be a little overwhelmed later otherwise. And we don't want that. No. Look how nice that mountain ridge is coming along now, right? So as the mountain was engulfing itself upon itself, emptying itself out through the North Pumice Mountain, the top of the mountain was like eating itself and just kind of recycling it. And in the middle here, there was a Wizard Island. And so this is actually the top of the mountain. And so as the mountain was coming down, it was eating the top. So the mountain with the top cut off is what the name of the Klamath people call this section of the island. kind of has a tail, so you can just see here. And then also, we'll do the reflection for Wizard Island as well. That excess paint there. And I'll just wipe that there. We'll do a little of that. Okay, great. Now I'm just going to paint in, I'm kind of bring in this ridge here. And then I'll just put in some dark here. I'm just getting off the kind of the rest of that dark paint there. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I suppose, actually I'm going to clean that up just a little bit. Okay, clean the brush. How to clean brushes now, so now we must wash the brushes, of course. Okay, we got that one. Okay, fantastic. Great, moving on. Okay, for the snow, I'm going to take quite a bit of titanium white here, and I'm going to mix it in with a little bit of that mountain color. I don't need it to be so stark white, since it is a black canvas and it is a night scene. And that's looking quite a bit darker. Okay. I want to leave it a little bit marbled, but also kind of want it slightly. Alright, I'm happy with that. We'll grab a little roll of paint here. And we'll just start putting in some snow on these little mountain caps here. Now, Crater Lake is the deepest lake in the United States and 11th in the world. It's pretty deep. The caldera itself is about 2,100 feet deep, which the water mostly fills. The average depth of Crater Lake, well, at its deepest, is 1,900 feet deep. There are rumors for a long time that it was bottomless, but it's not. It's always fun to kind of spread that rumor, but okay. Now let's give old broken top here, or top mountain with the top cut off. Let's get this one. Snow on this front too. Bring that down. And then, since a reflection, but it won't be quite as bright, we'll just bring that kind of up. So it's kind of so awkward to paint upside down, especially snow. Let's see. How can I get this knife right? Okay. We're just gonna let that one go. There we go. Great. Well, I'm pretty happy with that, I would say. Clean off the knife there. Now I kind of want to put in like a little water line here with snow. I'll bring this out. And just kind of some snow, kind of just melting around. Bouncing around the ridge there. I don't want that to look green anymore, so I'm just wipe my knife off again. Okay. Okay. It's time to get brave here. Let's put in a snow-capped hillside here. Just gotta bring this all together in the foreground. Now, let's go right across the canvas there. Oh, yeah. We're just bringing that white down. And up on the canvas here. So making it relevant for mushrooms and Crater Lake. I'm sure there's tons of mushrooms around, there's beautiful wildlife, but like with all national parks, we want to enjoy them, enjoy mushrooms, and now all the wonderful things within that park with our eyes. We don't want to be foraging in the national parks, which also reminds us of always make sure when you go out and forage into other locations, like you can go look around the Umpqua or Deschutes National Forest, which are just right around Crater Lake here. You just want to make sure before you go out you get your proper permits. We don't want to be wandering onto land that you don't really know who it belongs to. And we just always want to be respectful and make sure we're following the laws. Alright, I'm just going to paint a little bit more white in there. Bring that here. That looks pretty snowy there. Great. Let's put some trees in here. I just have some midnight black here. Let's get some nice trees. Let's start one right here. Kind of on the edge here. And this is just a number 6 fan brush. Let's put that black tree right there. Oh, a little bit more midnight black. Let's give this tree a little friend. All trees, all good trees need a friend. We'll put that one there. And black. Alright, just gotta give it some Douglas firs, Oregon's most famous tree. Some more midnight black here. Just gonna put just a couple in here. A couple more friends. Right. And I really don't want to cover up too much of all of our hard work here on the Northern Lights, but it is good to showcase the trees and make the area we're experiencing a little bit more accurate. I'm going to add one more tree, I think, just right here. This guy just kind of peeks out. A lot more black. That tree right there. I'm sure why not. Let's put one more tree right here from the perspective. Let's get a little bit more midnight black on my fan brush there, and at this point, I'm pretty happy with how this painting turned out, and thank you. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Amandanita Muscaria, and much love. Thank you very much. Bye.